Oh, welcome back to the Break Room Podcast. We got 3 out of the 4 original Flavor members.
Hey.
We got Chris and Vin and myself. And, it's been a long time coming to try to get Vin back into the studio.
Yes, sir.
And it's good to see you back here.
It's good to be back.
And it's good to have you here. And you can see we're joined by some of the legendary commentators of years past. We've got JR and we've got Jerry the King Lawler. And then, of course, we've got Gorilla Monsoon and Jesse the Body Ventura.
Tricep extensions.
In the Gulf.
Tortuga, bro. What the fuck?
Tell me I was there.
I was there.
I was there, Chris.
Tell me you can't do 4 more reps.
4 more reps.
4 more
I fucking
reps,
love that
Chris.
shit. Ain't got time to bleed.
I was there.
Fucking A. But, I guess basically we'll start off with what we've been watching. Personally, I just finished the Cyberpunk cartoon show, the anime that they came out with on Netflix. And I got to say, it was really great show, really well animated. Kind of makes me want to get back into Cyberpunk and give it another shot.
A lot of people.
Now that it's patched and it's not as buggy as it was when it first came out. Because basically when it came out, I pre-ordered it. I gave it a shot because it was really promising.
Terrible decision.
It was really a shame that they pushed the developers to release sooner than they were ready. It really killed the game. Even Keanu Reeves couldn't save the fucking game.
What did you play on?
I played it on PC.
PC, I got it on
PC was
PC.
a little buggy. I ran into some issues, and once I finished the beginning of the game, the only thing that I did was I went to go get that gun that has the projection bullet, and he kind of is an AI pistol that you find in an alleyway.
Talks to you.
And he talks to you, and he you can set him to go headshot mode, and just he automatically aims at people's heads and shit, which is great. But I kind of dropped it hard because I didn't want to really deal with a lot of the game ending issues that people were running into. So I just stopped it after the beginning intro part of the game.
Oh, I
want to get back into it. And,
the game was the most playable on
shot.
PC first. They were able to implement the updates, the patches as much quicker than they were able to filter it through Xbox and PS, Sony's approval processes, and also
Sony ended up pulling it off the store and everything.
Well, yeah, and the quality of the game on the lower end systems on the PS4 and the Xbox is just not up to snuff with what they were trying to do in the game. So they did patch it where they are playable on those systems, but
solid game on PC.
I started it, dude. I started it, 2 days ago. It's very engrossing. The level of immersion.
Into it, yeah. What makes it so immersive is the advertisements, the billboards and the
detail,
details, but there's
how they address you too. I think is important as a character. It's not. You're not just watching an NPC talk. They're really talking to you and animated in a cinematic way where you're more, I think, immersed into the dialogue of what they're telling you versus, the
dialogue was good.
I hold up Skyrim as the other standard, but
I love Skyrim. Well, I think that in my opinion, the NPCs were the worst looking thing about the game, and it looked good.
I'm saying I just tried it 2 days ago, so they've been able to really polish, and you can see that quality, I think, that was expected from the launch and all the previews we saw. It's actually at that point now where
what intrigued me about the game is it kind of gave that Blade Runner kind of vibe.
And it feels very much that way.
It felt very much like that kind of
love that
Tokyo, in the future,
hell yeah.
Shit's not how it was, and it's
Definitely
almost
not.
Post-apocalyptic in certain areas, and which it is in Cyberpunk's.
There's some kind of, I don't know the full story.
I really don't know the full story either, but I know that the cities are self-contained. And
hey, it's a credit to them for sticking with it, to make it, not giving up on it.
CD Projekt Red did the work to try to bring it back.
Definitely, they put in the work, they put in the time. They suffered insane criticism. I'm sure that was deafening at times.
They faced a studio shutdown trying to fix it.
Yeah, and they had a bigger plan.
They were supposed to come out with a remaster of The Witcher because that was a wildly successful game from this studio.
Let's move on. Can we not do remasters of every fucking game? Even though I just played The Last of Us and
The Last of Us was really good.
Remasters. I love them.
I know certain games want.
It makes an old game playable again because when you go back to these old systems and they don't have the industry standard controls, it's really hard to get into them. I loved Tomb Raider 2 when I was a kid. I
Oh,
can't
yeah.
go back and
That's-
play Tomb Raider 2 anymore.
not a
But
chance.
if they do a remaster and make it more controller friendly, I would totally go back and play Tomb Raider 2.
No, it's
So
true.
I'm not completely against it.
I
You
want
know,
Red
don't
Dead.
reinvent the
I
wheel.
want
Just
GTA
make it more
4.
playable.
I want all that remastered.
It's like I want GTA 6 and I want Red Dead Redemption remaster. It's a hard.
GTA
It's always a
6.
trade off. Yeah, we'll get there. I know we're going to talk
Well, I
about
think
that.
they have
But-
separate studios now, right?
No, well, no. Now Rockstar is one giant studio, but we'll get there. I just had one other thing in relation to like remasters. Somebody did a hack where they can run Star Fox at like 60 frames per second. So it's just
shit.
so butter smooth with those classic
Oh,
graphics.
barrel.
I was like, oh, this is all any old game needs, really. When I play on the PS5 or on my PC, it's like you need 60 frames per second to even really enjoy what you're looking at anymore.
Yeah.
Because now we're spoiled with it, where that butter
Which I hear
smooth,
GoldenEye is getting some kind of face.
Yes,
facelift,
that'll be a lot
so
of fun.
I
That'll
can't
be
wait
good.
for that because they did it once before with the Wii. If you remember, they actually re-released GoldenEye on the Wii,
I remember that.
and
yeah.
they kind of gave it a little bit of a because it worked with the Wiimote and the nunchuck and all that shit. So
They could
they're
split it up
probably
with two
doing it again.
thumbsticks because GoldenEye on the
That was
N64 you
always
had
a problem.
one analog stick
That was
to
it,
move
yeah.
and look around. So if you could actually do it with the two thumbsticks and have a first-person shooter experience that you should have
That
with
would-
GoldenEye,
I'll play that.
or I wonder are they going to try to preserve the play style that they used to have? I hope not.
I don't know. It was too clunky. It was in the way of the game, if anything.
But that's also was one of the best first-person shooters.
The
of
shitty
its time.
controls
almost-
were a part of the challenge of the
I
original
relate it
game,
to
too.
kind of like Resident Evil, where you had to
Yeah,
stop
the
and
tank
shoot.
controls.
You know, that was always a
Did not like
limitation,
that.
but they always evolved it where it was one of the game's like strong characteristics or identifiers. Like, oh, I'm playing Resident Evil because I'm running past these fucking security cameras and I gotta aim left, no right. Okay, but yeah. So the Cyberpunk anime here is really good too.
How many
Absolutely
episodes are there of
fantastic.
that?
It's only 10 episodes, about 20 minutes a pop.
Is-
It's an original story about just people in that world. They mention characters that you'll see in the game, like Atom Smasher.
Okay. Oh, that's so fucking funny. Joe was just talking about that guy today.
Yeah.
Chris, what does he say in there?
So Alexander Weeks asks, "What's your take on remakes rather than remasters? Say if Dark Souls 1 got remade with the entirety of Lost Izalith fully fleshed out instead of its current imported Gmod map energy."
I have to say
Wrong scene.
it's a trade-off. Like, yeah, you have to know that do you want the next Dark Souls or do you want one they did before remastered? I think there's always this trade-off. I know some companies will outsource the remaster, the rebuilds. Rockstar has done it. It doesn't always pay off well.
I mean, I would rather the game feel like how it felt when it came out. Like, I loved the GTA
once they fixed that,
remasters or whatever you want to call them. I never had any problems with them. I thought that they looked great. They still
They were
felt
fun.
like I was playing.
I even fucked with the God of War remakes that they came out with, the remasters. They back when I think God of War 4 came out, they had released like a collection of them from the first one, the two PSP exclusive games. It was like the Chains of Olympus and the Ghosts of Sparta.
Okay.
So you were able to like play through some older titles of God of War, and I remember like finishing God of War 4 and then going back and beating the original 3 God of War games and the PSP games. And I like revisiting a game because I don't have a great memory, so I don't really remember playing through the games, and a lot of the story is lost on me. So when I play through it again, it's like a fresh game, and that's exactly what happened for me with The Last of Us Part 1.
Same here. Yeah.
So
a
it
lot
was
I
really
forgot.
like
A lot of
fresh for me. I mean, I remembered parts like, like the whole part where she's in the bar and there's the fire and you're running away from the guy and all that shit. Like that was like,
You know how long
masterful
I sat
storytelling.
and just watched that giraffe scene and hung out for a minute?
loved that.
That could be like a screensaver, a wallpaper, whatever, because it's the perfect moment in a game where it's the calm before the storm. You know you're entering the last act of the story, and you're just sitting there peacefully with her, and you really feel like in that moment.
And the
music
connection
and-
between the characters that's developed over time. It's
deep. It's that game is it's a reminder why it was a 10. You know, it's the
Still
way
haven't played it.
I can't. But you've never played it once.
No, I played it and then I got the remaster on PS4. So I was like, I'm not gonna buy another remaster of it.
Gotcha.
But
But you've never played through the story.
No, I played through the story.
Okay,
I beat it. I loved it. I loved their take on zombies. Back to the question at hand, though. For me, like, I'll take the GTA remakes, and I've said this before, so I won't go on ad nauseum. But if they had remade Vice City in GTA 5's engine, like in a modern day engine, and just totally remade it from scratch, I don't want that. I want it to feel like the PS2 game, and as long as they capture that. Like, even Resident Evil, the remakes, Resident Evil 1 had the 10 controls. It felt like I was playing a remaster in a sense. You know, it was a remake entirely from the ground up, but it felt like Resident Evil 1. And then I think, like, 2 was when and it was great. It's subjective. It depends on the game, I think, ultimately.
The hard part with the remake, I agree with your take with taking the old game and making it feel new through whether it's, graphics changes or engine changes, frame rate changes, but then something like Final Fantasy VII, they're going back and remastering or
now that was an
remaking
excellent execution of the game because I hate turn-based combat. I hate having to go through a fucking menu.
But they are changing elements of the fucking story as well, and that fucking chides the audience because you have a deep thing about your memory of what plays out in 7. And I feel like as a studio, because they're going to put in all this work and new art, new everything, they're like, yeah, we want to tweak the story too.
We
want
that with Resident Evil as well.
And it's almost like, it's a very you're
walking
treading
a
a
fine
dangerous
line there,
path here because you're going to alienate the fucking core audience,
right.
And that's the people who have been craving the remake or the remaster for X amount of decades. So it's a toss-up, and then you can see, like, if it's not up to snuff day one, Cyberpunk, GTA, pre the game even getting released, apparently, everyone's judging the fucking game by the first moment they see it, the first second, and what everybody else is saying without enjoying it for themselves. So you're like, Jesus, they're in
it goes to show how vital that first, like, hour of gameplay is, because if you can't get into it in an hour, I'm like
out.
Sifu had, like, the potential, and then, like, I played it for, like, an hour, and I was like, I'm kind of just not enjoying it. And
yeah, it was too hard.
Me with Elden Ring. Fuck that game. Fuck Elden Ring. Fucking hate that game.
So, but yeah, no. The other thing I've been playing is with you guys. Well, Chris, Sea of Thieves.
Oh yeah,
Sea of Thieves is a great game. I haven't played it with you guys, but I used to play it when I used to Twitch stream during the pandemic. My buddy Mark, my friend Rebecca, shout out to the Little Dragon Bakery. She makes the the Peter tarts. She makes the official cookie of the Real Life Peter Griffin, but she is a master at that game. She can operate on her own. She has, like, insane amounts of money and shit in the game, and we used to set sail. We went through the entirety of the Captain Jack Sparrow missions. There's a lot of fun stuff to be done in that game. They're constantly updating it, so there's always something fresh coming out. But we
my bad.
We have a lot. No worries. There's just so much to do. If
There's
you're
a feeling
fan
in the
of pirates, if you're a fan of puzzle games, if you're a fan of Indiana Jones or the Goonies or Pirates of the Caribbean, if you're just a fan of adventure,
that's the element to me. There's a feeling I get when I'm playing that game that there's an adventure because it's very self-driven. It's not really like, hey, go here, do that. At first, you can get into that and figure out what each of the missions are and what each of the hunts are, but just the general sense of when you put me in the game, you're pretty vulnerable as a character. So, you're not powerful. You're kind of looking over your shoulder, especially as you start to interact with other players.
And not everything's just about attacking something. It's like you got to sit there and think, like, all right, maybe I have to play this, like an instrument near this specific thing, and then it gives me the next hint. And
I just think you got to strategize too. You have to plan, like, what am I gonna do? What are we gonna do? Where are we gonna go?
I have a plan, Arthur.
I like games that have that survival type of aspect to them, where you kind of start with nothing and you have to scavenge to be able to fend yourself, and
It's like
and that's what got me hooked. I think was that it was almost like that Minecrafty aspect to it, where you got to get the wood to repair stuff, or you have to get the food to
hunt and then cook, and then the food gives you more energy because you cooked it. Whatever, simple, simple little things like that.
There's not even really any crafting in it, but
I wish, if I had a complaint, I wish it was there was more RPG to it, where it's definitely a PvP-driven game because of the way things reset, and you can't hoard items and materials. You can only, buy them every play session. I kind of hate that because it makes it feel like partly like, oh, what did I even do in that last play session other than get gold and get skill level?
It makes logging off hard because you don't want to lose your chest.
It may come someday because you guys mentioned that you can now buy your ship, so this way it doesn't. You don't have to customize it every time you go into the game.
Yep.
So it's possible that whatever goes on your ship might carry over one day.
And this game's 4 years old. I discovered it during quarantine because I tried Xbox Game Pass. This is a credit to Xbox Game Pass because I'm able to do it through my PC, and then I borrowed my cousin's Xbox Series X that was just collecting dust because it's the inferior console. We know it is. But enjoying playing Sea of Thieves on it, casually on my TV controller. Getting you guys into it, I feel like the first thing that Chris got to see was I was playing by myself. I was screen capturing after we did our last episode, and I got into it with those guys. I was trying to deliver some goods. Chris was asking me some questions about how the game worked. Then I start getting attacked. So these guys think I'm an easy target. I am because I'm such a noob. But I was like, fuck that. I'm not an easy target. So I start trying to kill the guy. I finally kill him. I have the ship. I de-anchor the ship, start cruising away. I start running. The fucking ship's on fire. I'm fucking trying to patch up the holes. They're shooting at me, chasing me. So Chris was seeing all of this.
That's what made me kind of like it was the how you lift up the anchor and then you go to this and then you drop your sail and then you do this to try to catch the wind at the optimal angle.
I love the boating.
And then there's the natural disasters that you can run into, like the Megalodon or the fucking Kraken. It just adds another level of.
You have no idea. We were playing and it was getting late and my girlfriend was kind of complaining that I wasn't coming to bed or whatever.
It's like 3 a.m., bro.
I'm like, we just got to get to this island. We're just dropping our stuff off at the island and then we're going and like all this shit keeps happening. We fucking got attacked by a Kraken on the way to the island and I'm like, fucking God, we had all this shit on the boat. We were playing all night, gathering all this shit.
There's a way to know that it's coming, and if you just stop,
music.
It goes away.
Oh, yeah.
There's a way to avoid the encounter completely.
Oh, really?
If you just, like, slow down and, like, don't keep... Because if you sail through it, that's what's going to trigger the Kraken. But there's a way to avoid
I want to fight the Kraken
that's
every
the
time.
whole point.
I want to fucking take that motherfucker
That's the other
out.
thing I like about the game, too. Like, there's no... min-maxing the game. Like, the travel speed is like, you can't.
You don't have to sit there and fucking collect light for fucking months on end, Joe, you motherfucker. Destiny sucks. Tell them the results. Tell them the results of Destiny. It's not a game where you can't play with your friends because they don't have enough fucking light. Fucking Guardian. You need to get more light, Guardian.
Enemy captured Zone B.
All right, so we did have a poll. Is Destiny a good game? Joe did say Destiny is the best game in the last 10 years. 77% say no, and that's just is it good?
That was almost as funny as Chris saying he knew more about Star Wars than I do.
That's 17 no's and 5 yays. That's more votes than likes on the post.
And who
itself.
voted yes? Yao, just out of spite.
I don't even know if I can see the actual voting to keep everybody's vote private. No, it's not even there. Luckily. So yeah, I don't think it's that good. Anyway, Sea of Thieves has been a lot of fun.
You can pick it up and play with your friends.
I did like the Mida multi-tool. That felt really good in my hands playing that game. It's just that the game.
Oh, Destiny. Oh yeah.
The game became disappointing and repetitive.
Yeah, and speaking of, I mentioned before that I thought that Elden Ring was disappointing. Alexander Weeks says Elden Ring had some lovely exploration, but the bosses are a letdown in comparison to FromSoft's other stuff. They doubled down on mostly unavoidable damage, and it forces players to rely on summons.
That's true. Joe was a mage. He fucking got to absolutely destroy that game because he had a ton of magic. Joe likes Bloodborne more. He said Bloodborne was a better game.
He did, yeah.
So, yeah, I think Elden Ring was a more approachable game for non-From Software players, because that's Elden was my first.
So bad. I wanted to like it so bad.
It was good. It's good, man.
You know what game I ended up
the
getting
vision-
but never playing was the Sekiro game.
That, similar to Sea of Thieves,
Sekiro.
Elden Ring was like self-driven. It wasn't like, here, go do this, here, go do that. But you needed time. It was a very like time-consuming game, and it was very frustrating because if you didn't know how to approach the boss, like you said, unavoidable fucking damage. What are you supposed to do? Go online, fucking watch the YouTube video, which
And then
to
you
me
find
is
these
boring.
fucking meth addict motherfuckers that are just like Neo in the Matrix fighting these bosses
dodging,
where they're just
quick
like
dodge,
dodging like
left,
it's
It's like me
nothing.
and Joe fighting the Valkyrie Queen in the end. Oh, my God. That's how you had to beat her, man. Because you would just have to like understand like the telltale hints of what move is coming next and how to counter it or how to dodge it. And there's a way like there are ones that you have to just get the fuck out of the way because she's gonna hit you, and there are ones that you can like parry, and then when she's stunned, you fucking wail, and like you just gotta like get the science down of that battle. So, when this new God of War comes, like who's gonna be that battle? Is it gonna be like fucking Heimdall or some shit?
I saw
It's
there's a
gonna be-
mermaid god who has like 9 mermaid daughters. I
Poseidon?
don't know, but all I saw was that, and I was like, oh Jesus, that sounds
Well,
like
not Poseidon.
the
it
next
was-
Valkyrie Queen shit. I don't know. They showed a quick preview in the God of War trailer where like a mermaid swims up to wherever the fuck you are, and they were just highlighting what god was appearing in the trailer, and that this one has like, again, like either 9 daughters or 9 sisters. I forgot what it was, and all I was thinking was, oh Jesus Christ, is there gonna be 9 mermaid underwater battle fucking like elements
man.
with this?
Was there a
Nah.
Poseidon and like a Poseidon-like character?
killed
equivalent?
Poseidon in God of
in the
War.
old-
But I mean,
older ones.
in Norse mythology, is there
water
a?
god?
Because I mean, one could argue that Zeus and Thor are.
Well, Zeus
comparable.
and Thor are comparable because they're both the god. Well, one's the
Thunder,
god of
lightning.
lightning, the other's the god of thunder.
Yeah.
But he's more comparable to like Odin because he's the Sky
Nord.
Father. He's the god above gods. So
this-
Zeus is more like Odin.
This guy Nord, he is the king of the sea in the in Norse mythology. Bearded, large gentleman here. I don't think you can see it on the cam. Oh yeah, you can.
Interesting. I like when games tie in, mythology and things that might otherwise.
I can't
be.
wait for the battle with Thor, man, because
Oh,
Thor
that's-
is my favorite
I wonder-
superhero, and
It's got to be somewhere in the middle of the game too, right? Like,
because you're gonna have to. It's probably gonna be towards the end, to be honest, because if you're gonna get Mjolnir,
That's
you
the
have
ultimate
to
weapon.
get Mjolnir. That's got to be
Oh,
the weapon
God.
that you pick up from him.
yeah, no, there's no. That comes with the collector set if you buy it.
Yeah.
So you're getting your hands on that fucking thing.
If they kill off Kratos for Atreus, like I can't imagine God of War where you're not Kratos. It just wouldn't be God.
true,
I
I
feel
mean-
like it.
Kratos can't die. He's a god. I don't see how he dies. I don't
Yeah.
know. But they have to pass the torch eventually somehow.
I mean,
Well,
Or
he's
come
getting
up with
old.
just a new
Like you
thing.
notice, like he's got like
He's
a white
gray.
beard now, and
He's a few hundred years old. I don't know
Yeah.
how much he's actually. No, that's fucking. I can't wait. That's the game. That's what's on deck. That's what's on the horizon. It's like God of War, God of War, God of War. I think everybody right now playing through old library shit, catching up. Honestly, sometimes it's good when this happens because you get to go back, take your time, play some things you wouldn't normally play. So Sea of Thieves was definitely one of those where I was like, kind of in the mood for something.
I want
where
to play it
can-
right now.
I'll play tonight.
I'll
I
bet you.
don't got work tomorrow for like another week or so. But
I've got work.
I wanted to bring it up. We're huge fans. I think it's come up on every show that we've talked video games. Grand Theft Auto, right? We love Rockstar,
Big
Red Dead 2. We love those guys.
I haven't
over
touched
there.
Red Dead Online in a very long time.
I logged on recently. Yeah, I got on. I'm at like 89,000 right now in cash.
It takes up a lot of hard drive space, and I haven't
does.
updated my hard drive.
I brought
Can't
up a
delete it,
point about Red Dead I think everybody has universally agreed with, and that is it can be a sleepy motherfucking game because when you are traveling, it is nature at its best. The
Soothing.
environment is very soothing, and the birds and the what. They just needed some music, just some spaghetti western music when you travel, when you're riding.
that's
on
what
your
I
horse.
used
when
to
you're
do.
shooting, you get that.
You
but
get it a little.
I used
and
to
not
put on
enough,
the
'cause-
soundtrack for Red Dead
There you go.
Revolver,
right?
Yeah.
while I
Okay.
used to ride through the
Even
Well, the
plains. and
pittering-
shit.
Red Dead 1.
The pittering of the fucking horse hooves,
Yeah.
I'd be like this. Because of the repetition, you're going pretty far,
Well,
You're
that
not
was
fa-
my
you're not
dad's
fast
problem
traveling
with these
everywhere.
games. He's like, he
It's
would love a
great.
cowboy game, but like
I need
he'll be
spaghetti
looking
western
around
music.
this and that, and all of a sudden somebody's shooting at him, and he's like, he doesn't know what to do. It's like
More than not, I would just crash into something violently, and it would make that screeching horse noise, and the carriage fight. I would be like, "Holy shit!" Because I just woke up. Because it's I'm playing at 2 a.m. But anyway, it just throw some music in there
Makes
a little
you
bit more.
comfortable though. I don't get tired. I get comfortable, and then but that's the thing is like it lulls you into a sense of comfort and security, and then all of a sudden you encounter somebody, and in any other game I'm like I'm gonna kill this person, but in Red Dead I always think like maybe I'll be a nice guy.
and they really mastered like the cowboy genre because I've been playing cowboy games for a very fucking
long
long
as they're
time.
available.
I mean, I was a kid, like I used to play like Wild Gunman, which was actually the game that they play on the arcade in Back to the Future. I used to play Sunset Riders on the Sega Genesis.
I remember that shit.
There's Gunsmoke on the NES was a really great game. It had some fun music. And you'd just be shooting the shit out of everybody. But I gotta say, I'm even later titles. It came with like the Call of Juarez or Gun, or they had like a lot of cowboy titles that they had come out with. But Red Dead Revolver was definitely stood out to me when it first came out, and I was like, this is like the creme de la creme of like, and then the graphics would start getting better and this and that, and then Red Dead Redemption came out, and I won't lie, I was a little upset
I missed
when it
that.
first came out because it was like they're not continuing the story of Red, and I liked Red. Red was the one from the original Red Dead Revolver, and they followed John Marston, but of course John Marston's like the fucking
So that was
man,
at a time when
so
Rockstar decided to switch away from copying movies
right
and
making
writing
like fake like Vice City didn't really
And
have its own
Scarface.
story. It was really a rip-off of multiple movies of that era.
Vice City.
Same thing with GTA 3. It was
Miami
like a
Vice.
rip-off
Miami
of
Vice.
multiple mob type
Yeah,
things.
which
It
I
was-
love. They had their inspiration. and
great,
shit.
yeah,
They wanted
sure.
to branch out.
They
do
created
their
a
own.
real solid story.
But that soundtrack was
Nico
second to
and-
none
and
because they were
what's
literally
his name
using
were there?
spaghetti western music for that first game.
Yeah, they used all the Clint
So
Eastwood shit.
when there wasn't music in the background, that's one of the things I love about the PlayStation is you can Spotify the shit like while you're playing your game and mute the music of the game and really immerse yourself in those experiences. I was doing something similar to that with like No Man's Sky. I'd throw some Dark Side of the Moon on and just
So I have a
fuck off on
question.
a planet.
When I
and
play
shit.
Star Wars
I've-
Battlefront, I put on some fucking either Top Gun music or I'll put on Star Wars music.
No,
and
Battle
I
of
just-
Endor, man. Battle of Endor is a great fucking.
By the way, we should say, speaking of Star Wars, none of us watch Andor yet.
I watched all of it. Yeah.
We watched
have
it,
not
me and
seen it
Rob,
yet.
and that we're. I mean, I don't want to say both of us are arguably bigger fans of Star Wars than Minutes, but neither one of us watched it. That's fucking.
Well, I wait for
disgrace
my
on our
dad,
part.
and my dad and I haven't had a chance to sit down and watch shows because I've been working and then coming home being exhausted or something going on where we just don't have
It's
the
a sh-
time. So
It's a show that lacks the shiny object.
I want to sit down and enjoy it. If I can't like focus on it, then I feel like I'm wasting my time, or if I'm distracted by something else. Like I need to focus on a show when I'm watching it.
Yeah, with 3 episodes released, it's definitely something that I didn't watch it all in one sitting, but you're gonna want to watch these.
We're gonna
back
binge the
to
shit
back.
out of it. There's
Definitely.
no question.
And I think when I say it lacks the shiny object, it lacks the fan service thing that would like traditionally, I think, Obi-Wan. It's got Darth Vader, like fucking.
Because of Obi-Wan?
It's got the thing that's gonna draw you in. Andor's more like, what is this? What are we even talking about? We know how this story ends. It's another one of these series where, okay, we ultimately know where this ends. We know where House of the Dragon ends. We can project what's going to happen technically.
Andor ends with Rogue One,
Exactly.
which was the
Correct.
worst Star Wars movie that ever came out.
Clearly
I'm
wrong.
sorry, I didn't mean
Clearly
this.
wrong.
You wanted to make a point about
That's not
Grand Theft
you think
Auto,
it's
right?
the worst?
He's ridiculous.
Rogue One.
compared to like the fucking
Well,
trilogy
all right,
that
Oh,
came out
yeah,
with
I
those
Star Wars,
fucking
but hold on.
hated Rogue One, man. I think it's the worst Star Wars
I
movie
think
they ever
that
made.
fucking Rise of Skywalker and The Last
I'll watch
Jedi
Rise
were
of
worse.
Skywalker 1,000 times before I'd watch Rogue One
You're
again.
crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Rogue One was good for a few things.
Rogue One had some great battles, but where my issue with Rogue One is, because I don't think it's a perfect movie either. The ending is where they drop the ball for me because they make the beginning of Star Wars not make sense. And I know it's like a nerd rage thing, call it what you want. But when you're writing a story about Star Wars, the original 3 movies should be the fucking gospel truth that you try to at least honor when you're creating a story. And when they're saying that Darth Vader's not standing there fucking watching the Tantive 4 fly off, he says that, you know, several transmissions were beamed to the ship by rebel spies. Meanwhile, they're hand delivered in the movie. They completely change basically the setup for the original Star Wars. There's very minor things they can do to fix that shit, but they decided to go in that direction, and that's what pisses me off about that movie more than anything else.
They did
I think
a good
the
job.
characters were fine. I think the movie was
Characters
fine.
were not fine. The characters sucked. You didn't care when any one of them died.
So I think
Every
that's
one of
what
them
this
died, you
series is
felt
about.
nothing.
I think that's part of what this is about. I think if there was a complaint about the movie, that would probably be that. And
Well, what are you
the
going to do?
effect
Get
on the end.
watch a movie about the Bothans that fucking died trying to get
I'd
the
rather
Reds?
watch a movie about the Bothans.
Many
They're like
Bothans
Khajiits.
died to bring us this information.
You know what the Bothans actually like are? Like they're pretty much cat people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like lion people.
Fucking Bothans.
I jumped the gun a little bit in transitioning us to Star Wars talk, but we didn't see it, so there's not too much we can say. You wanted to make a point about
Rogue One, and then I
you wanted to
talk
make a
about
point
how good
about
the show is
GTA
and
though,
stuff.
right?
I want to make a point about Rockstar actually, because you know Rockstar is the creme de la creme, one of the top studios out there.
I want a Star Wars Rockstar
Everything
game.
we've played from them.
Space, even not even Star Wars necessarily. I can accept if it's not because they don't own it, but a space GTA in space.
Why? So then I want my question is, when did the perception of what Rockstar can fucking do change so dramatically to the point where the hack of, you know, very
The GTA 6
old
hack.
GTA shit, GTA 6 dev shit, leaks, that people are actually taking it as a point to say, look how much this sucks. And
So-
look how bad it is. I remember first the criticism was, they probably haven't even started working on it yet, which is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever heard. Oh, GTA Online's so successful, they're milking it so much that they're not even working on the next game. Now there's fucking proof that they didn't want us to see, because it obviously affects perception when any game developer who's now the devs are coming out releasing other early development footage to show you this is what a game looks
I'm
like
sure
when it's
there's
being worked on.
NDAs too and all that kind of shit. Like they have to.
Bro,
they're
there's
probably developing.
a
'cause
billion reasons
they're
not to
building
show
their own
people-
fucking engines
There's
and
no
shit. So
reason
that
to
would
show-
that would tip their hand too much.
They don't want any. Yeah, there's a million reasons why you don't show this shit early, and why it has to be hacked to be put out. But I was just stunned at the idea that Rockstar is going to somehow put out this sub. How could you even think that? I don't think there's any
You're a
evidence in
fucking
any
idiot.
game.
You're just a
Max
cynical,
Payne,
miserable prick if you
Bully.
believe any of that.
That
You
would
go
be
down
fun.
the
Another
fucking
Max
list.
Payne.
I want all those remastered. If I want something remastered, I want every
Max
1, 2,
Payne
and
3
3.
was really good.
The best. That was such
Yeah.
a fucking great game.
I learned how to play
So-
the song on the piano the other day. Actually.
But I think it comes down to, if I had to make a guess at why, because Rockstar is simultaneously like changing the culture of the company, and they're like, hey, we're not going to make fun of like fucking trans people every second, that people think, I don't know, whatever they said. We're going to make a game.
The game
that's
was
not,
a product of the time. I mean, it came out in fucking 90s and like Vice City and all that shit.
People are probably
I
also
don't
pissed
think
off
they'll
that you
lose
can
any
play as a
edge.
girl.
No.
I'm sure,
Oh,
even though
that's
she
sad.
looks
Oh,
fucking.
she's got a dunk.
She's got a donk.
I can't wait to see what the game looks like in terms of the new engine, because what we were looking at was clearly GTA 5 assets. You could just see by the look and feel of it, like, oh, this looks like GTA 5. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to use low-end systems to test new shit.
The main
You don't wanna
characters
pull-
look good. The NPCs were still like just
Nothing's even
there's no it's
none of
not
that
even-
is even going to be what you see. Like
Right.
everything we looked at was an asset.
It would be interesting
from
to see how
something else.
they expand the online though. I can't wait to see like alternate fucking islands and shit.
I
It'd
wanna
be
be
cool
able
to
to
be able
travel.
to fly to like
Oh, definitely.
Vice City or some shit or
Hopes are high. I'm wondering, how do they evolve the game? But I saw the hack. I saw
would
some of
probably
the
like a
Red Dead shit you could do. Like you can pick
probably-
up bodies. They're testing out little things like that.
Body.
Who knows what we'll actually get in the end of it
You
all?
think
but
it's not going to be 100 times better than GTA 5? You're a fucking idiot. You've obviously
it's-
never fucking.
played a Rockstar game.
Each game
I don't
goes
know.
more above and beyond. Like I remember playing GTA 5 the first playthrough, and it was like,
Holy
this is fucking amazing. Like,
How is
It
my
was a
system doing
moment.
this? Was really like it was on my Xbox 360, and
Any
it was,
game that they've come out with, it's always like a moment in game for gamers, like
Yeah.
where it's like, oh, like I have to stay home and play this. I have to play hooky from school to play this, or call out of work, or
and that's
or
a
take
shout
a
out to El
request,
Bigote
rather.
del Diablo, my GTA Online character, because I've had him since the 360.
Oh,
I
dude, yeah,
fucking
we've all
character
had our
transferred him
guys.
from the 360, the
There's a reason it
PS3,
holds
then
up.
to the PS4,
We're day
and now the
ones.
PS5.
You could go on the Rockstar stats, and we are day
No
one
other game has as
characters.
many cars. No other
Best
game
game in the
has
last
as
10
many
years.
guns, and maybe there are games that have more guns, but there's a lot of guns in it. There's more vehicles in it that you could ever fucking imagine, between cars, helicopters, boats.
Do you think with the laser shit they're
Motorcycles.
getting a little too close to like Saints Row with the fucking?
No, I don't
over-the-top
think that
shit?
they've ever gone fully like they
I saw
haven't
the
ever
new
gone
Saints
Saints
Row.
Row.
And what a
I
piece of
haven't-
fucking shit.
Yeah, it's
It's trash,
terrible.
bro. It's just like a it's like it's trying to
They
be
know that
GTA
they can't
5.
be GTA,
You know
so
what I
they're
mean?
saying
They
we're
just
going to go in the other
copy-
direction, but they don't do that as good
Well,
either.
now you have jetpack. You know, everybody uses a jetpack. You're just I don't know. It lacks any kind of grounding, and it just looks bad. It doesn't have something that would bring.
You're not
going to
beat the
Whoa,
Oppressor
look at
Mark
these.
II. I'm sorry, it's
Ugh,
not gonna.
that
Th- It's
fucking,
like a coffee with way too much sugar in it.
There you go.
You know,
That's
you
a
don't
good
want
way
to
to put
fucking
it.
drink it. It's too
Too
fucking
sweet.
sweet. Yeah, I. You know,
So
as
we'll
far as,
see it when we're ready. I think what we saw from these hacks is not even close to where they are in the development process. They're definitely years beyond that.
Well,
but
the thing that's disappointing too is like I've realized over my life when I'm working on something like a big project, like let's take my Minecraft world. If I am like, hey, look at me as I build this, like look at what it looks like now, look what it looks like now. People stop giving shit immediately. And
Yeah.
by the time that it's done, they don't care anymore because it's already kind of been like, I know,
Seen every
Chris,
phase.
I saw it. But when you don't show somebody what you're working on and you get to spend that time making it look good, and then it's, look what I have, and it's like, holy shit, like they see the finished product, it's just more impactful.
Definitely.
It waters people down when
see the
they see,
process.
when they see the
And there's
process.
few of
They
those
call it-
defining moments with the technology, like
you
going
want to
back
see how the
to like
sausage
seeing
is
like
made? No.
Right.
You just
like
wanna
when
eat the
fucking
sausage.
Mario 64 first came out, and like you're just sitting there like, holy shit, this
Oh
is
my
the
God.
future
That was a
of
moment.
gaming. Like that was a moment, you know.
I remember
Yeah.
seeing
And,
it.
I'm
like,
waiting for
holy
that moment
fuck.
for like the PlayStation 5.
Everybody is. That's true. Everyone wants to see the true next gen, all the Unreal Engine 5 shit, all the next gen, non-cross gen, not PS4. Fuck you. It's over.
Like it was cool
All
to see the
next gen.
experience they did with the Matrix, but that's really just like the tip of the
A
iceberg.
very yeah. That's such a tiny little taste. Like we'll be in a transformative thing in the 2023-2024 era. I feel.
How
like,
much do you think God
unfortunately.
of War is going to be able to push?
It'll push it where it'll seem like a really maxed out PS4 game. You know, it'll still
I
have
feel
that
like
feel.
it's just gonna
It'll
be
get
like,
like
a better
that Super
looking-
Mario 3 syndrome almost, where like if you compare on the original Nintendo, the original Super Mario Brothers, and
Yep.
then the sprites on Super Mario Brothers 3, they're the same system, but you can see where there's a graduation of the technology.
Yeah.
So that's like the creme de la creme of that system. So I think the initial games that we're seeing here are the best that the PS4 could have put out.
That's exactly
But
what
I'm waiting
it is.
for like us to really get into the groove of the PS5's technology.
That's
I mean,
definitely what it is.
I don't necessarily want my PlayStation to sound like it's gonna fucking launch off like the fucking PS4 did.
But that's the benchmark, right?
that's the benchmark.
When you
When
know
your
this thing's
system's
working.
really working, that's
like, holy shit. All right, we're seeing next gen graphics now. I haven't seen these yet. This is next gen.
Now
It's not
this
just
is ray tracing.
yeah, it's not just ray tracing or just the 60 frames per second, because that's still what we're playing with. Like, oh, well, it's 60 frames per second and it runs at 4K. It's 60. And oh my God, it's got some ray tracing. But you got to choose performance. You got to choose ray tracing. We'll probably get a pro system that can just do both simultaneously. It'll be all pure. Nothing's cross-platform. I'm sorry, nothing's cross-generation. You know the devs
they got to
are
make enough
handcuffed.
regular systems before they come out with a fucking pro.
That's holding them. Well, that's holding them back. The dev cycle's slower because they're waiting for tools, everything's been slowed down by fucking sickness, all that bullshit. So yeah, but I get that same feeling when I turn on my PlayStation or anything right now. I still have yet to see the game that's like, holy fucking
I remember
shit.
when they were starting to develop the Force Unleashed game, the first one,
God,
and like
I
the
love that.
technology that
Chuck
was
and
put
Ewok.
into
That
there
was-
with
that was GTA. That was a
stormtroopers hanging
GTA
on
thing.
for fucking life,
That
and
was
like
the same engine.
the breaking of the boxes and shit. Like I remember like being engrossed in that.
Yep.
And then fast forward to like when Spider-Man came out and how they were able to render little window versions of the entire game in the mirrors of the windows on all the buildings and shit. Like the technology is really getting to be to a level that we can't even. We're gonna be looking at it like, holy shit, how did they do this? You know.
Most games, when you look in the mirror, you can't even see a full reflection still.
I think they've mastered light technology in video games. I think like creating light in games and shit.
I saw some tech demo stuff, and not to get too fucking techie here, but I saw some of the NVIDIA GPU announcements. So the next series of GPUs is already on deck, which is fucking annoying. But and the top tier new
Pre-order
card,
me one, Vince, so I can.
yeah,
put it
the
in
new
my,
card's gonna cost $1,600, like the top tier. So
Oh, great.
good luck with that. But anyway, they did a lot of fine tuning in how like ray tracing is used in these and how it's addressed using some kind of AI system. So yeah, like particle effects, reflections, lighting is gonna continue to just get dramatically better, and it does improve the immersion of the game. You know, I think to me, when I play Sea of Thieves and then I play my PlayStation, there's an immersion level on the PS5 that's not available on the Xbox. It has to do with the controller for sure.
Oh yeah,
think
the
more than
haptic
anything-
feedback on the controller is second to none.
I went from playing Sea of Thieves to The Last of Us, which is two completely different experiences, but all I could think was, man, imagine fucking Xbox had the trigger feedback with like digging or pulling in the rope.
And there
or the
was like
sail
me
or the
fucking
wind.
thinking that like the Wii remote and the fucking nunchuck were like the most immersive experience of the
Yeah,
game.
right,
Where it's like I feel like I'm holding the lightsaber and like moving around and shit. But now these controllers, like I loved playing that little Astro's Playroom or whatever the
that
fuck
was
they
fun.
called
That
it,
was cute,
because like you had like the little robot inside the controller before you start, and if you shake it around, it feels like that little guy's
He's
in
in
there.
there.
Like it's insane
Yep.
the technology that they put into this controller.
Fucking gravel kicking up, rocks. It feels like rocks are
Or
kicking
even with
up. You're
the
playing GTA
death
5.
loop, the fucking triggers getting like jammed and shit.
I didn't play Deathloop, but
Great
so
game.
yeah, I think that separates the platforms. It's really clear because I literally went from playing Sea of Thieves into playing my PS5, and I was just like, damn. The controller, I would say the controller for the PS5 feels full. It feels, I don't know, like there's just something more premium about it. When I pick up an Xbox controller, it's light and it's very good where the triggers are and where everything's positioned, but it feels kind of cheap. It just clicks kind of cheap. It feels a little cheap.
Well, look
It
at the Xbox
snaps.
controller. It really hasn't changed a whole lot. And
they've
and
evolved it.
PlayStation this is the biggest leap in change that they've done to the controller since its inception. I mean, the first controller came out, it just had the plus control pad, the D-pad, and then I remember them coming out with the analogs for the original PlayStation.
It was like, what the fuck are these things?
Ape Escape was the first game that required
Had to have the analogs.
the analogs and stuff. I remember that, and I had like the demo, and I tried playing it, and I didn't have analogs yet, and I was like, "Fuck, I need the analogs now." And then I convinced my parents to get me another controller, even though my system came with two, and it was like, "What do you need another controller for?" Well, this one has this thing and that thing, and
See, they used to do
and
that
then
back
PS2
in the day too.
it just came standard, and then PS3 again. Then
Somewhere right now,
PS4 added,
Joe's
like the
ears are
little
ringing.
trackpad thing, but PS5.
Yeah, if
is
Joe's not
really-
watching us
Joe's
right
ears
now,
are
which is
ringing
not,
right now
so I don't
because
see him
if
in
he
the
was
comments.
watching this, he would be saying, "The fucking Xbox controller is the best."
Yeah, but you can't play together. There's no multiplayer games
gives a
on
shit?
PlayStation except the same ones that are on Xbox, except for fucking Halo.
Halo's the
You
only
want
one
to play
that's
Siege? We can
not.
play Siege. You want to play Modern Warfare? We can play. I don't play those. It's that we're just
Apex,
not that
all that shit.
squad. We're not those guys.
Fortnite, the bullshit.
I don't play Fortnite. I don't play. I really don't.
And
It's
it pisses
very
me off
difficult.
Fortnite that they have all my favorite characters in there.
And then Joe will tell me, like,
All of
oh, I
them.
have 1,000 hours in Destiny. And I go, that's exactly what I wasn't willing to fucking do to play the game. I'm just not. That's exactly what I
Case in
can't
point.
fucking do. I like to play something. Cool. I'm going to go back and play this. My cousin Joe loves platinuming games. loves it. He's at 35 plus platinums.
He's great at it.
He is he's a machine. It's incredible. I wish he would fucking stream it, or we could bring some more light to it, because it's a feat where he does it at such a pace too. I'm like, how the fuck did you do that? But he will absolutely wear a game down to its core. And then move
never
on.
play it again.
And then move on completely. He'll be like, fuck this game. I'm
delete
deleting
it.
I deleted GTA again. He tells me every time he deletes it. Yeah. Hate you for playing anything I'm not playing. I'm like, Joe, what the fuck, man? I'm playing I started playing Cyberpunk because the anime came out, and I was like, yeah, let me give this another go.
Cyberpunk had a good story. It had a good story, and that's not...
It's got me. It's good. It's good. So he'll platinum the fuck out of that, too. He'll move on to the next. I like variety. I like playing a little bit. But I have to move on. Like, once I beat The Last of Us, I'm really not going to go back and get the platinum. Very rare do I feel the
I
need.
was going to get the platinum. I'm like, I mean, I was on my third playthrough just to get enough materials to upgrade all the weapons. And I'm like,
I'll go in, I'll play WWE. I got WWE 2K for like half off. I'll go in, play a match or two, have some fun.
You gotta download a bunch of guys, and then like I'm doing the universe mode, and it's been spitting out some good matches. I said on the last episode, there's I'll find myself reliving like classic matches.
It's feeling like it's gonna be Sea of Thieves until God of War.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
having fun.
Definitely enjoying Sea of Thieves. So I mean, gaming, that's where we're at. Yep, I think
still in the lull.
We're pretty far into the show. There's something I know we all wanted to talk about, House of the Dragon, right?
Of course,
we're all up to speed on House of the Dragon.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we kind of covered Andor anyway, so whatever. It's good. You
Yeah.
should watch it.
Andor,
Give a fucking
yeah,
go.
we'll
watch it.
You know you're in the Star Wars universe without them expressly telling you or giving you fan service or being too overtly like, this is Star Wars. I think the director isn't a Star Wars fan, and that gives them a little bit of an advantage where he's not worried about what the fans want, so he's not trying to deliver certain things. It feels like a Star Wars story in the Star Wars universe. You're getting the gritty. I love seeing the gritty, on the ground reality of the Empire. You know, we see it from on high, the opera version, where everything, you see the senators and the money, but then when you get on the ground and you see the day-to-day and the shit people are going through and the tribes and the mix of, you kind of look at it from the Empire and empirical, we're taking over your fucking territory to mine your shit that you don't even know is here. You don't even know what these crystals are, whatever it is, and they're just taking. And how does that make the people feel?
And that's how they built the Death Star. They were just
where's the rebellion come from? Truthfully, I think that's what they're going to get at in the core of this story. It's story driven.
Well, they're like the remnants of the Old Republic. If you want to argue, I guess the real beginning of the rebellion was with what's her name, Padme.
Of course, yeah. I mean,
Padme would have definitely been part of the rebellion if she lived. She would have been the number one.
That's a good what if.
She was, already talking with Bail Organa and saying like this is
she
a
was
fucking
the
problem.
beginning of the rebellion. She was against everything that was being done, and then, she was tricked by Palpatine. We could go into all that. That's a deep one. But yeah, so I highly recommend Andor. I think it's better than Obi-Wan for other reasons. I think the way that it's being shot, I can't get into cinematography or any of that. I don't know any of that, but when I'm sitting there watching it, I'm feeling like, oh, this is really fucking good. This is just a really well done, well thought out show that's driven by the character. It's not driven by an item or something that they're craving or they want. It's like, in the first 3 episodes, you're just learning more about Cassian, where he comes from, what he's about, and how does he end up caught up in all of this.
And I guess the goal of this show is to enrich your knowledge of the characters so that Rogue One has more of an emotional
Definitely. I think
effect.
it's absolutely meant, at least in Cassian's part, I don't expect to see all of them or any of that shit. It doesn't seem like, hey, let's cameo this guy and cameo that one. It doesn't strike me as that kind of show.
Forrest Whitaker is on the show, right? Isn't he supposed to be in it?
I didn't read anything about it.
I thought that his name
cool,
was in the cast. Like I think that he was.
He features a lot in. Doesn't he feature in Fallen Order?
Yes.
So I think that makes sense.
He
that
might
he would
have
help
even been
Tyler.
in Rebels, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been. I don't know.
But hopefully you guys will watch it. So next time.
I'm definitely gonna watch it. I just haven't had a chance. I want to sit down with my dad and watch all
Migraine.
3. And
No, I know. It's tough, man. Your attention's being pulled in 100 ways, whether it's games, new shows,
I just
Marvel
finished
shit,
the Cyberpunk show,
She-Hulk,
like I said. So
Cyberpunk show.
I'm
all
about
these
to start
animes.
Mob Psycho, and then
Nice.
for anime fans out there, the Jujutsu Kaisen movie dropped on Crunchyroll now, so I'm gonna have
Way
to
over my
watch
head.
that one. It's really good.
Zach,
Jujutsu
what's up?
Kaisen.
Zach that joined us.
Oh, Maddie, nice, dude.
Giving us
Matt's in here.
flowers.
What's up, dude?
You're
So,
Tricky Ricky's here as well. Hells. Appreciate you
Hell's
guys.
Bells, baby. Upstate Hells.
Hells has been playing the shit out of Call of Duty. And
He's
that's,
been doing
something
the
just-
beta.
We haven't even been.
Beta.
I don't know. Yeah, I would. You know what? I'd play it. I'd have fun with you guys.
I'm not gonna be duped.
And then
into
it'd be
buying
like a week
$70
later. I'd
for-
be like, oh, it's
Play
God of
Warzone.
War.
Yeah.
Yeah, play Warzone.
Play the Warzone if it's free, but I'm not buying fucking $70 again this year. Fuck that.
So this is the halfway point of House of the Dragon, right? We're coming up on week 5, episode 5
Has
or
there
episode
been
6?
5 episodes already?
I don't know. We should know this. We have a show. I
First
think. I think
episode
we have
was
a
intro.
podcast we do, and should probably know weird shit like this. but-
Third episode was him conquering the Stepstones. Fourth episode is him coming back and showing her all the shit. Fifth episode was her getting married. So yeah, it's 5 episodes now.
So we're coming up on the 6th. So we're past the midway point of the season.
How many episodes are gonna be?
I'm assuming we're getting the 10, the classic 10 that all seasons should be.
Yeah.
Just saying.
And full length episodes, yeah.
Yeah, no shorties. These have all been pretty long.
You know what's interesting is there's a lot of people I'm hearing that are saying that this is better than Game of Thrones. Like
That's
I-
a reach.
That's complete
reach.
horseshit.
but you know what?
if you like it more, cool.
I'm
but
glad to hear that. Like
Yes.
I don't agree, and I'm kind of surprised to hear that. But there are some people that seem to like it better, and I think maybe it's a little easier to understand for some people, which
That's
I
true.
didn't.
They weave a lot of
think so,
stories
but-
within the beginning of that story in Game of Thrones, and I found when I was just watching it with my dad, we were struggling to like understand who's who and what their significance in the story was. I mean, ultimately, when we watched it together, the repetition and this and that, we finally started learning characters' names. But I remember watching that first season, being like, "Who the fuck are all these people?"
100%. There was
Yeah.
no way to avoid that. And that was a problem with their pilot episode before, because it was going to get canceled. Actually, they weren't going to come out with Game of Thrones because the pilot was shit. No one understood it. It was incoherent. Basically, it was what was said, and it was almost on the chopping block. But they had invested so much that they were like,
There was enough
give-
there that they saw that they could do something, but it needed to be fixed.
yes, it needed
tremendously.
exposition. It needed scenes like when Arya is saying the arrival. She's basically the narrator for the arrival of King Robert. So when Robert arrives at Winterfell,
She's
like,
saying
"That's
who
the
everybody
Hound.
is. Yeah,
that's
yeah.
the Queen's brother. That's
there's
and it's
the prince.
exposition for the audience, so you know what the fuck is going on. Because that was definitely, I think, up until what you really knew who Ned was, because Ned shined. He was the main in that
You
story.
knew Bran
And he was the
'cause his
biggest
little kid
name
got
Bran
on
killed.
the
fell
show.
from,
I
and even
mean,
that was hard.
Sean
It's true.
Bean, it's like, oh shit, we're almost bridging the gap to like Lord of the Rings,
yeah.
because one does not simply hop to another franchise.
No. Fucking poor Sean Bean.
Well,
So
It's
Guy can't
well
stay
known.
alive
I
to
didn't
save his
see Lord of the Rings. I knew he was in it, but I actually
Boromir.
my connection for him was he was in GoldenEye, the movie.
that's
He
right.
was.
He's the baddie.
He plays Trevelyan.
Yeah, dude.
I mean, not for nothing.
He
He's
gets
even the bad
dropped off
guy
the
in
thing in the
fucking
satellite.
National Treasure with Nicolas Cage.
He
He was the one that was trying to go after the Declaration of Independence.
That's right.
Yeah, that's
he
like
got
one
the
of the few
accent.
times he doesn't die. He just goes to federal prison.
So I understand that where this might be more. Is it easier to adapt this story because in the Song of Ice and Fire books, it's all written from first person perspective, which gives you all the internal thoughts. It gives you the perspective of the character. In the show, they needed to adapt it where you didn't have all that information. You didn't get the
They had
internal.
to show that. Ooh,
Yeah, they had to use scenes to show you the conflicts. You couldn't just use that internal dialogue. Whereas adapting this story, it's adapting it from the historical telling. So you have the
Right.
encyclopedia telling of the Dance of Dragons. And then you have the book, which is written in the third person, correct? It's told as...
You're talking about how
Fire and Blood.
Fire and Blood is told from the perspective of like a maester.
Oh, so it's
Who's
even...
referencing another maester at the time. The maester is in this one.
Gotcha.
And Mushroom, who is in the show, as we've covered. What I think why this show is doing so well is that Matt Smith is just knocking it out of the park as Daemon. Like, people are loving his character.
He is so hateable. He's another Jaime
and yet
Lannister.
so likable.
He's Jaime Lannister again, I think.
See, I don't think I love. I think he's so likable. But that's the thing is, I could see how he's hateable.
That's it. You're right. I think
You're
Chris is right about
Vin's
that.
a fucking green. You fucking. I could tell.
I like Hightower.
You're on the
It's fine.
Hightower side,
But,
even though they're clearly wrong.
Only again,
So far.
knowing what
So
I
far,
know
yeah.
and making judgments to like. Oh, again, I keep saying the realm is not going to want to go along with the queen.
Sir Otto is such a fucking grasping cocksucker, man. He keeps
In the
saying,
book or in the show?
in both. Even in the show, he keeps saying the realm will never accept a woman. He's the one perpetuating that the realm should never accept a woman.
Yeah, okay.
No, there will be war. Yeah, because you're going to start the
Listen,
fucking
George
war.
Martin likes to use real life reference points in his real history to tell his stories. Accepting female ruling is never easy throughout history, right? Are there any real clear examples aside from the Queen of England, ironic, that leadership from a female is very
There's
few and far between?
Different
Cleopatra,
cultures, you know, when we look at Western culture, yes, which is what Game of Thrones is largely based off of, but in Dorne
Dorne.
Dorne is
Somebody asked me,
Dorne.
where's Dorne?
Where
and
is
the
Dorne?
doors, the
Dorne is all the way
doors?
south. He's
Dorne.
desert and mountains in Dorne.
What are they? What is their involvement in
In
this?
Dornish custom, women can inherit the same as men.
So I'm just
Now
saying.
this
Well, that's
is
why they had the same. Oh, the
Hightower's
chicks
just
and the-
fucking.
this takes
got his
place
finger
before
up.
Dorne is actually part of the Seven Kingdoms. People don't realize
So
that.
this conversation was birthed really from my annoyance that people were trying to make Hightower the equivalent of Littlefinger in the story.
Yes.
And I said that's a discredit to Littlefinger because Littlefinger was like the ultimate fucking baddie piece of shit. But we did get introduced to Clubfoot, right? Is that who we?
Yeah.
were
Laris
introduced?
the Clubfoot, who
That's
is
what I was just saying, I
Whispery,
think he's
he had a
strong.
little info he could just drop.
yeah,
right in
he's
her
like,
ear.
this
And
flower.
Sir Christian, shut the fuck up, bro. You ever know deny till you... This guy never heard deny till you die, clearly.
He's-
Deny till you die, pal. Why are you fucking admitting to doing this when you weren't even accused yet?
Well, because he
Fucking
feels
John
guilty.
Terrell. Oh, he's so guilty.
He
It's
feels
crazy.
The
bro.
moment
Oh.
he didn't want to do it. She
He's
kind
a
of
literal
like, made
white
him-
knight.
That's
that kinda
bullshit.
fucking
You
sucks.
know why I
No,
think
he
that's
kept
bullshit?
He was looking down the whole time.
100% was thinking the scene where she's taking off his armor is so very deliberately tedious because of what an opportunity it would afford you to say, wait, no. Well, I can't do this. Fuck that. Had to take off the cloak. Had to take off the neck thing. Then the chest piece and the shoulder. Then the chest. Come on,
I get
bro.
what you're saying.
They
You're
were-
right.
He
but
wanted
also,
At
to.
least 40
I don't
minutes
want
to
to
say
play.
no.
Nobody can tell.
But he did. He
poor
looked
Griffin.
down and kind of just maybe he felt like he couldn't say no. This is the princess.
Yeah.
you
Of
know?
course. That's listen. That's what fucking. The
But he was
Lannister
also
cousin said.
self-serving
I mean, hey,
because he
Daemon-
had
Daemon
feelings
did
for
What
her.
would Tyrion say?
Damon didn't do it. In
Tyrion
this
would
case,
say, "What did
Damon
you
had
do?
better
Did
morals.
you pull your cock out?
Yeah.
You know, what would Tyrion say?
But-
Tyrion would be like, "You fucking wanted to do it. Don't tell me you didn't want her
Yeah.
beautiful. Come on. No cop out for Sir Chris." And he just can't keep his mouth shut. All he had to do, shut the fuck up. And now he's in her pocket.
No,
right?
but he's got this pride where
He's
know
like Jon Snow.
he even said, "Oh, I'm gonna be your whore." And it's like,
He's
dude,
like Jon Snow. All
Just
over
take
again.
it.
It's Jon Snow.
he's
again.
like
I'd be a
Jon
whore.
Snow.
Yeah,
but he's
again,
not,
I
he
say
doesn't
it-
have
there's whispers.
the brass that Jon Snow had. You know.
Yes.
Jesus,
John-
he mashed that guy's face in pretty good. That was some
Well,
fucking,
no, I'm not
Yeah.
saying he's not a fucking tough guy. You know, he's definitely.
I mean, he beat Damon in single combat.
But that's because Damon was also gloating. You know, he was turning towards the crowd and cheering and gloating.
Yeah, but he was
So
cheering,
hateable,
gloating,
it's
and beating
crazy.
everybody else. You know what I mean?
Damon, he was kicking
whipping ass.
He
Yeah.
was
There
whipping
was a good
ass and
fight.
gloating about
Yeah.
it, and then
What's
fucking
his
Sir
downfall?
Kristen
Pride
That
comes
was-
the
put
fall.
him in his place.
That was the
He was
thing.
like,
With pride
you
comes the
can't
fall.
you can't
But
get
even
away
then-
with gloating with me. I'm better than the average guy. You know?
Yes, and even then though he appreciated it. You saw he laughed. You know, he
Oh,
was like,
yeah.
"Ah, I yield." He laughed, and then he's like, "Ah, fuck off." You know.
That's true. Yeah,
Damon's
he's like,
great.
fuck this.
There's a lot of comparisons. You could say Laris the Clubfoot. I'm glad that they introduced him the way that they did because he is a significant
Greasy,
character.
He's a fucking Littlefinger character.
He's like a Varys Littlefinger, more so I think Varys than Littlefinger in my opinion.
I think Varys. I guess he had a metamorphosis of a character because he wasn't always a good guy.
Varys was always difficult to perceive, like what he
you didn't know
was.
who he ultimately
Varys
served.
served
Why is
the
he talking to
people.
this guy in the dungeon? Like, what?
Well, that was the thing. Varys served the people. He didn't serve.
I
king
serve
or-
the realm.
I serve the realm.
Who do you truly serve?
The
I serve the realm. I know it's hard to believe. Anyway, those are great. Those are great fucking characters. I think this is also this whole thing with House of the Dragon. It's done everything we wanted it to do. It re-sparked the interest. It glosses over people's feelings about the
I just
ending.
don't have a favorite
It
character
gives
yet. That's
hope.
my only let down. Like there were so
There's
many
no favorite
characters that I
character?
loved. Like
I
loved Ned. I loved Robert. I loved Davos. I loved Tormund Giantsbane. I loved
Yeah.
the Hound. Like there was like a lot
More
of
humor.
characters that I fucking loved. But this show, it's like I like
Strong.
I do.
I do like.
Which?
He doesn't have enough
Like
personality.
I liked
You're
Kristen
talking
Cole
about
until he
Lionel
kind of lost
Strong?
his mind.
Yeah,
The new
the one
hand?
on the council.
Yeah,
That was the new hand.
he's interesting.
I like him. I haven't seen his like funny, or I don't know if he has any humor.
Well,
to
Lionel's
him.
strong, so let's inform the audience for the people who are watching or will be watching kind of a little bit of the story here. So Lionel Strong is who you're talking about. He's the new hand of the king. He took over after the king dismissed Otto Hightower. He's got two sons. One of his sons is Laris the Clubfoot, the guy who's talking to Allison in the garden and reveals to her that
so he's
She
his
has a
son.
mistress.
he's the new hand of the king's son. And then his other son is Harwin Strong, who's
Everybody's
also
loving him.
seen next to him all the time.
It's quiet now.
He's kind of he's been there. So when Rhaenyra is sneaking around in the city, he encounters her, and she's like, Sir Harwin, and he's like, oh, princess. And then Daemon comes walking up and he's like, don't get caught out here again. It might not be so safe, and he lets her go. There's this
Is he a
weird
gold
dynamic between Daemon and Sir Harwin Strong, where Sir Harwin is like there with Rhaenyra, and then Daemon will walk up and then they'll just kind of nod to each other.
Yeah.
It's
true.
I'm kind of like curious what they're planting, because that happened again at the wedding when he was like dancing with her or something.
Subtle nods.
Yeah, so there's some kind of dynamic there, but Sir Harwin Strong is, he's the one that saved Rhaenyra when the scuffle broke out. He goes in, knocks a bunch of people out, grabs
just crushes
Rhaenyra,
them.
and takes her the fuck out of there.
I heard people liking him. I seen him trending on like Twitter and shit.
Yeah, he's gonna, he's a significant character. So as you'll probably see in the next episode, I already saw in the previews for the next episode. Breakbones is he's a significant character in all of this. He has a part to play. So that's the Strong family. They rule Harrenhal, as we know, is famously cursed. Interesting. Yeah, I would say my favorite is, of course, Daemon, and I'm really loving Viserys, man. He's
been like, he's really helped the show a lot.
even just like the like when he was at the dinner, like Joe keeps sending pictures of it, but during the wedding, like how he's just sitting there at dinner watching stuff happen. Like you see his eyes just like looking as things are unfolding. I don't know. I was just like
That episode was so tense.
the wedding.
Everything about that scene is to build tension. And even I thought it was interesting when he goes down to the Valyrian was it not Hightower.
Because the
Stepstones?
high tide you're talking about, where
Yeah.
the Valerians are from.
When he says they're going to
Oh,
celebrate for
cool
6
castle.
days, I was like, are you sure you're going to live that long?
Yeah, Jesus, bro, the sky is fading so quick. But I thought that was an interesting thing when he went down there, and then they perceived it as like kind of like beggar king shit. Like they're really judging Viserys for coming down. His cousin, says something to her husband.
Well, she's
about
saying
it.
that the king shouldn't have to go there hat in hand offering his daughter up, and that normally it's customary when
to go
the
to
king
the
is going to be received, you have a party there waiting for him of all of your top people.
just like in Game of Thrones with King Robert arriving at
Very first episode,
Winterfell.
exactly. That's why Lionel Strong was like, "Is this how you receive your king? Like, there's no fanfare, there's nothing." but he was already waiting in the throne room.
Yeah.
I like that dynamic that they had too, where he was like, the Sea Snake was trying to figure out, like, okay, so it's customary that if a male marries a woman, you take the male's name. And Viserys is like, surely you're not inferring that the Targaryen dynasty should end only because she's a woman. And he's, I merely seek to clarify. I like that dynamic. So a couple of things that are different. You know, they keep making it opened up that it was between Viserys or Rhaenys, the Sea Snake's wife. It was never between Viserys and Rhaenys. It was between Viserys and Laenor, who we now know who he is. I think for simplicity and so that the crowd understood, they said that it was between Varys and Rhaenys, but it was really their son. It was never a woman inheriting the throne. It was the throne passing through the woman.
They want to play up that aspect of it too, I think. I think the idea is to play up the idea of...
You could have chosen a
They
woman.
almost had a female ruler, and they squashed it. So
they're
it's
like, nah, we're not going that. We'd rather the baby fucking boy be the king. You're like, what the fuck? Like, they can't.
Right.
And I saw a funny thing that those two are the only they're the only true functioning couple in all of Westeros. Oh. I was like, that's true.
Yeah, and Rhaenys?
Yeah. They communicate well. They seem to be on the same page. They're very. When they made their entrance at the wedding, everything stops.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought was telling. They're
great lords. Well, they're great lords though. You know, everybody's fucking pompous.
Yeah, exactly. It's like and he's becoming the king. That's the whole point. Is that the new upcoming
the royal
king
consort?
Is that what he's called? The royal consort.
Technically, at least if we take the late
not the king.
Queen Elizabeth as an example.
She
and actually,
Philip after.
The guy who plays Daemon, Matt Smith, like I've said, he's in The Crown. He plays Prince Philip, who is he's Queen Elizabeth's husband.
Wow.
So he was never actually King Philip.
I see.
He was the royal consort.
Okay.
When a queen is the
heir,
is the what's the word, the ruler, when it's actually in the queen's blood. Yeah, the guy who marries her doesn't actually become king. He becomes royal consort. So he's not royal blood.
That's the idea right now. So
well, I mean, ipso facto, because then their kid together is going to be a king. So he's royalty.
Well, that's what I mean.
And then he's sense of it, but he's technically not.
He's just a placeholder.
He's not. I think they said his title would be king consort.
Okay.
So it's like king with an asterisk. He's not actually king
because he's not from royal blood. Elizabeth
right. The crown isn't deriving from him. It's deriving from her. She's actually the crowned.
She's got the blood.
She's got the power.
So many parallels. Again, back to Martin, always using reality as a base for the story, and I think that's what makes these stories relatable, or why people enjoy them so much. And I think that's what's great about House of the Dragon. It just shows that George R. R. Martin writes interesting stories, and it's in an interesting universe that you want to see and know more about. So like that's why this is such a home run in my mind. It's good. I'm enjoying it. Is it better than Game of Thrones? I can't really say that. I'm not going to sit there and be like, 5 episodes. Yeah, I know. Can't wait to see the penultimate episode.
Yeah,
the
when
finales.
there's a big battle, that'll really be the
this is where we are. Okay, cool. Now, like, we have yet to reach the moment of Robert's death, so we don't even know. We see the conflicts.
We know what it's going to be. It's when Viserys dies, because we know he's going to die.
Exactly. That's when shit's really going to set off. That's when the new
Game of Thrones
elements start coming in. There's less of this pomp and circumstance, and there's just going to be, you can expect in a season 2 type situation where it's going to be more gritty. There's going to be less. The alliance is going to be shifting, so it's going to leave a lot of room for all this conflict that Game of Thrones had and was full of, and hopefully humor too comes with it. They'll probably see that, like, identify that a little more. I think they were trying to introduce the show with a serious tone, with something that was like a respect of. We were looking at the Targaryen dynasty at its like absolute peak, and now from here on, it does diminish in ways. I believe they obviously stay in power for hundreds of years, but. They were just, I think, trying to communicate to the audience, like, these were the prosperous times. This is the pinnacle of Targaryen rule. And as things devolve, I think you'll get into the whorehouses and into the humor, the darker, grittier side of Westeros that's always going to be there. It's always amongst the general population. And it opens the door for so many more stories. Can't wait. Hedge Knight, any of that. I think now that HBO confirms, okay, we knew it, we kind of lost it, now we got it back. Now let's make sure he's in the loop more. The stories are being told in a way that's true to his storytelling, and let's explore this more, because you can have a lot more fun with. I think the Hedge Knight could be one of the funnest shows to watch, because that's a pure adventure.
Be a great dynamic. It's a great story.
Yeah.
I want to talk about some of the differences now, just in terms of the books versus the show. Some of the more recent things. I've said it before, and I'm on like in a Game of Thrones forum, and somebody said this. I agreed. Got a lot of play, but there's a lot of like wanton brutality.
Yep.
In this,
I get
with
it.
no repercussion. Like the first episode, there's the tourney where people are getting their heads mashed in, and it's like that's not like tourneys are violent, and sometimes people die in melees, but like it's like you just got people straight up trying to murder people. The little kid killing the gut in the bracken in the throne room, like there was no like I guess no repercussion.
They just walked
for
away.
That. Yeah, and like even like Sir Kristen mashed the guy's fucking face in, like.
No one reacted.
So in the books, the way that it happens is that there's a tourney. Maybe they didn't want to overdo the tourneys. Probably because the first episodes, they probably didn't want to overdo it. But in the book, there's a tourney, and Sir Kristen, I don't know if it's like a joust or whatever, or if it's a melee, but Sir Kristen in the tourney knocks out, I forget the guy's name, the Knight of Kisses, Laenor's boyfriend. And
he's Joffrey?
He strikes him Sir Joffrey. He strikes him away, and it actually takes like 6 days for him to die.
Okay.
And Laenor is like by his bedside the whole time, like crying or whatever, and then he finally dies. It's not like he just fucking snaps and bashes his brains in front of everybody. He was kind of that's where it's different. Is if he hurts him in a tourney, it's kind of like, well, it happened in the battle or in a tourney. But when you just have a fight and kill somebody. If there's no repercussions, I don't get that, but it's not a big deal.
If I was like trying to draw a parallel, and if there was something I think that they're trying to communicate to the audience as well, prosperous times breed fucking like
bored people,
angry people.
Yeah.
I think of the 90s. I think of like the late 90s period. I just watched this whole documentary on like Woodstock and shit.
Just Limp Bizkit,
Kid Rage.
Rock, Eminem.
There's a want for
Attitude
violence, and then violence is at your fucking door, because we know exactly what happens after the 90s. And I think in a similar way, they're trying to communicate to the audience that there's this boiling underneath everything, where all they're looking for is the excuse to be violent.
Yeah.
And these are just examples where
it's like Westworld.
It doesn't these violent delights will have violent ends. Yeah, it doesn't hold up to, I think, what would happen in those, like in the book, let's say. It would just be, there was a respect of the throne room that they wouldn't ever fucking do that. That no one would ever, a king's guard would never kill somebody at the princess's fucking wedding.
Well, and he also strikes Laenor.
Does he? Oh,
he like punches him or pushes him out of the way or whatever.
Touches him in any way, it would be like,
you would lose, because I mean maybe because he's not a blood royal in a sense, he's marrying in that he doesn't. But
I just think it's something that the writers of the show are trying to communicate to an audience where, again, we've talked about this. The TV audience sometimes doesn't pick up on the subtleties.
Yeah,
and you don't have that repetition you would have in a book, where you could kind of say those things. Well, what did Catelyn Stark say? These are the nights of summer.
The nights of summer. I just read that chapter, yeah.
So that's a beautiful quote. I think that's another thing. That's a credit to Dave and Dan Benioff there, where they had those really great, memorable quotes. That was
from the books. They just,
was that from directly?
Yeah, these are the nights of summer.
Again, to his ability to write, that was something that you would take with you. And these are truly the nights of summer, because there's been no war. There was just prosperity under Jaehaerys after Maegor. And
I mean, there was conflicts and stuff. What's so good about this, though, is that it's like setting the record straight, because again, the books are told like, one account says this, one account says this. You never really understood why Sir Kristen turns on Rhaenyra.
Yep.
it was always told that Rhaenyra only had eyes for Sir Criston. She had a crush on him. She wanted him. Another thing, too, is in the books, Daemon goes out with Rhaenyra several times. They'd go flying dragons together. Nobody really knew where they were going. Mushroom says that he was teaching her how to suck cock, and you know, he would even use Mushroom, you know, because Mushroom would always put himself in the story somehow. But they were, you know, kind of fucking around doing fun stuff for a little while, and the episode happens once and that's it. But it sets the record straight because you don't know why Sir Criston turns on Rhaenyra. It's
That's
told that Rhaenyra tries to get him to marry her, and then the other account is that no, he says that he wants her to marry and she turns him down. So you don't really know what happens, whereas now you see, and I guess
That's funny that now with Martin's involvement too, now that's the lore.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? We're seeing the definitive lore.
Yeah.
Whereas before it'd be like, well, what happened in the book versus show?
it could
Now
have
you
been
can
this,
say,
it could have been that. Yeah.
Now you
Now
can say,
it's
well, the show is actually the anchor point of the story
Yeah.
for the Dance of the Dragons.
the
Now,
source of truth in a sense.
yes, where as you said, the Maester's retelling, it could be perverted, skewed. So many.
Well,
things
usually
could happen.
Mushroom's very perverted, and then the Maester is very conservative in explaining
okay.
what happens. So you'll almost have like two extremes of what the story was,
and you kind of build your own.
and you have to kind of just. But regardless, this is what happened next.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I like that too. And you know, that's what's great about these stories is you can enjoy it as a book reader, and you can enjoy it as a show. You get two different versions of it. But yeah, I'm amped. Sundays is destination television now.
It's back.
It's back.
HBO 9 p.m. Fucking right in the middle of football season again, but that's my problem, not
Yeah,
your
whatever.
guys.
Apart from that, so what do we got coming up now?
Rob's got a big
You got a
fucking
couple
schedule.
days
Yeah,
on
October's going to be big for me. I'm going
Next
to
few
be
weeks are
doing Bonsai Con in South Padre Island, Texas, October 1st and 2nd.
What is Bonsai?
So it's an anime convention. A lot of voice
Okay,
actors
that's what
from
I
anime
thought.
are going to be there. It's going to be
Any
pretty
One
cool.
Piece people?
I don't know about One Piece, but I think there's going to be some voice actors from One Piece, but they're going to have some
Go.
Demon Slayer people there, some Naruto people, the Dragon Ball Z. It's
Yell
going to
at
be
me.
cool.
Yell at me.
And then New York Comic Con's big. You know,
Oh, is it? Really?
it's going to be a big.
It's
show
actually
for
back.
me.
This is what happened last year. Last year got fucked. Was it a super spreader event? Or something happened, right?
I think somebody did spread a bunch. The Delta variant, I think, is what happened.
but this is the first year. It seems like it's going to be a little more normal. Like,
Yeah, and
doesn't,
I heard it wasn't as crowded last year. Cause
Oh, I bet everybody was so
I think
bad.
Zach said he went, and it was like you
Dead.
could feel the air conditioning.
Oh, that's a sign. This year I'm gonna go. I'm gonna be there too. I'm gonna be there Thursday with you.
Yeah, I'm going to
Me
be
and
doing
Sam.
after parties on
Chris is
Friday
gonna
and
be
Saturday
there.
night.
We
Surprise
got
tickets
after parties
yeah.
too. Oh yeah, Chris got the surprise. How do you get these surprise fucking
My
tickets?
brother.
WWE event
Yeah,
free
Madison
with
Square
Adam.
Garden.
No, but
The
you
trick
guys
is
wouldn't
to
have
be
even
cheap
fucking
and
went
not spend money.
if we
and
didn't
then
buy $300 tickets. I spent $2 whatever. Go with Mike.
and we ended up
and
getting
then you
seats
goes
third
fucking
from
for
the
free
front
because Adam's
row.
like, "Oh, you guys are going? Let me ask my friend." Fucking dicks. I'm paying all this
Hey,
money.
It worked out. I mean, well, but
No,
no,
Rob's got me in the
Comic-Con-
shit for free all the time. I got in both Comic Cons I went to with free. So
I'm,
Yeah,
I
exactly.
usually, I'm usually pretty good with getting
Comic Con,
people
I
in.
never know because
New
it's
York
always
Comic-Con's
like
tough.
the tickets are sold out already. That's
Or
how I
the
always.
fan
it
verification,
used to be.
all
It
that
was.
shit.
It's not that this year. You can still buy.
Like, no,
shit.
no, you got to be on the list so that you can find
Saturday
out
sold
when
out.
it's gonna. I'm like, that's too
But
much
yeah, I'll
for
be
me.
doing
already.
New York Comic Con. This is going to be the 10th year anniversary of the Real Life Peter Griffin.
You
Wow.
gotta do something for that. What the
'Cause,
fuck? You didn't even do
it
a video or
was-
nothing.
It was 2012 that I first donned the green pants, so
Wow.
this will be
10
this'll be
years
year
as Peter,
10.
dude.
But yeah, I won't be around
10
for the
years
next
stealing your
couple
brother's
weeks. I don't
name.
know if you guys are going to carry the torch without me.
Yeah, we'll have to see
I
what
mean,
we do.
You know, we're able to. Whether we'll be in studio or not is the big question, I think.
Fucking A.
But we'll carry this torch.
But
Don't you
that's
sweat it.
that's what we're going to be doing in the future, and I think we've exhausted everything that we were going to
I
talk
think
about
Rob
today.
is exhausted.
We're all
I'm
fucking.
exhausted.
We're
that's
tired.
for sure.
Yeah.
But I want to thank everybody for tuning in once again.
Love you guys.
Please
You're
tell
the
your
best.
friends, like, comment, and subscribe. And maybe we'll come up with another poll for you guys for next week.
Yes.
But thank you for tuning in. Snooch to the nooch, and may the force be with you. Whoa.